In the past, we've talked about Yamanaka factors, which are these proteins that can go into cells and reverse the aging of the cell, and the cell starts to act young again. Pretty amazing. And there's a lot of advancement happening on that front. But this paper that came out just this week that everyone's kind of going crazy about was put out jointly by Calico, which is Google's kind of, age reversal startup that's super secretive that they're not allowed to talk about, in partnership with a group called Revel Pharma. And what they focused on was what's called the extracellular matrix, the parts outside of the cell that age. And what does aging actually look like outside of the cell? Well, over time, sugars and fats bind to proteins in the area between our cells, and they accumulate and they don't get cleaned off. And as they accumulate and they don't get cleaned off, they make it harder for your body to clean out that area, to maintain that area. It causes stickiness, it causes binding. And that reduces mobility and ultimately leads to things like wrinkles in our skin, makes it harder for our joints to move.
Is that what visceral fat is?
No, it's called glycation. And so it's the binding of sugar and fat to the proteins that sit in that extracellular, which means cells.
Yeah.
In between the cells, exactly. And so it's that whole gunky area in between the cells that when you're young works well, everything's smooth, the proteins get replaced if they break down. And as you get older, sugars and fats kind of stick to these proteins, block them up. And as they get blocked up, your body can't repair them, it can't clean them. And more importantly, it changes the structure and the shape of those proteins. So things like collagen that are far apart stick together. And that causes things like wrinkles, and that causes immobility. And it also causes inflammation, because then those proteins kind of look different than they're supposed to, and your body starts to attack them. And that activates inflammation. And that's why one of the reasons why we get more and more inflammation as we get older. And so one of the key, what are called advanced glycation end products, that's the term for these things, is called CML. CML is kind of the predominant molecule that gets formed in this extracellular matrix that's driving aging. And nothing breaks it down. So these scientists set out to try and create an enzyme. An enzyme is a protein that breaks something down, that can break down CML. And remember, a protein is just a series of amino acids, and those amino acids are programmed by DNA. So you can put 3 letters of DNA to make an amino acid. So you can literally just print DNA and then put it in a bacteria to print proteins and then test those proteins to see what they do. That's the modern kind of era of kind of protein synthesis and protein testing. And so these guys kind of went out and they took the target, which is CML, and tried to figure out, okay, how do we actually degrade CML, clear that extracellular matrix, and reverse aging? And they started with AlphaFold. And they used AlphaFold to find a protein that could bind to CML and activate an enzymatic or process that would break it down. And then they took that protein from AlphaFold that comes out of a bacteria, they produced it, they started to test it, and then they started to find some of the binders or the parts of that protein that they could make better, and they used, DNA programming to change it. And they made hundreds and then thousands of variants of it to measure activity, which is how good is it at breaking down the CML. And they did this recursively, 5 different cycles. And then eventually they tested it. Once they'd kind of gotten it breaking down the CML really well in a test tube, they started to test it on the proteins that we would find in our body: casein, collagen, retinal proteins, which are in your eye, hemoglobin. And they were able to get rid of 52 to 97% of the CML, just degrade it away. And then they found several sites where they were able to degrade over 90%. And then they took actual human skin from elderly patients that had donated their skin, and they put this enzyme onto that skin, and they were able to eliminate 55% of the CML on the skin, which basically reversed the skin's age down to the age of a 31-year-old. This is from greater than 70-year-old patients, just by putting this enzyme on the skin. And so it's kind of a groundbreaking demonstration of combination of AlphaFold, what's called directed evolution, where you change the order of the DNA that changes the structure of the protein to test different proteins, do high throughput screening, and ultimately make a novel protein that doesn't exist in nature today that can do something pretty profound for human health. And now the next set of questions is, okay, well, great, this enzyme is awesome. How are we going to get it into our bodies? How are we going to get it into that extracellular matrix? Is it going to be a cream? Is it going to be a shot, a supplement? Could we eventually take an RNA shot that makes the protein inside of our body and starts to do the degradation from within? A lot of questions kind of still to be answered, but it really, I think, lights a great path forward.
Amazing.
For these novel therapies that we're developing. It's fucking awesome. I mean, dude, like,
amazing.
You know, I got all these joint pains in my hip and my shoulder now. Like everything, you can feel yourself getting older.
Well, I will tell you this right now. That will not be the first market. The first market will be cosmetic and
cosmetic skin. Yeah.
It will be $1 trillion market if you can create a cream.
I mean, dude, if you could put this enzyme literally on your skin and
on
have
your
it absorb
face as a cream,
yeah,
game over. That alone is $2 trillion.
But I mean, dude, AI. Let's just talk about applications of AI. Why it's actually awesome. That everyone should be able to agree on, and you can't be convinced by some foreign psyop. This is fucking awesome. I mean, this was AlphaFold.
It's amazing.
Used to discover this thing and evolve it and drive this outcome. Everyone can benefit from it. It's just so profound that we have this tool at our disposal in this day and age. I think it's pretty awesome. Anyway, thanks for sticking around for Science Corner.